I'm very happy to be here. This is my first time in Croatia. It's so far away from my hometown. I'm from Mexico, and I'm very happy to share with you what I have experienced in covering protests here, well, in Mexico and in Turkey. I am going to first tell you who I am. So my name is Andrea Arzaba. I am a journalist and I'm a blogger. I have covered environment. I've covered the climate change environmental conferences for the last 3 years. I have worked for a traveling magazine. I have my own gender publication that is called the Sunflower Post. And I'm very interested in covering human rights in general. So anything to do with social justice, I am passionate about it. So I'm going to tell you a bit more about what's happened. Let's start in Mexico. So first of all, English is not my first language. So if I make a mistake or if you don't understand something, please let me know. I'll be happy to.
Your English is fine.
Thank you. And thank you all for coming closer, because it makes me feel more comfortable and more cozy. So yeah, my experience is on the ground. I'm a journalist. This is what I have seen. This is what I've experienced, and I'm just going to let you know what has happened in my university. So the movement is called I Am 132. Yo soy 132. And this was the first time in like 30 years that young people in Mexico standed up and cared about what was happening in politics. It all started when the candidates for the presidency came to our university, and they were just giving speeches to students to let them know what were their plans and what were their goals. So one of the most popular candidates was, when he came, a lot of protests happened in the university, and students were asking for so many questions he could not answer that he went to hide in the bathroom. So his conference finished and he just went to hide in the bathroom, and nobody really believed what was happening. This was a national scandal, but nobody was talking about it on the news. No one. It was crazy. Everyone was talking about it on Twitter. There were videos, but national media did not say anything. They just showed a picture of him waving at students when all students were protesting, and it was just on national media that everything was a success. So this was very shocking, but everyone was just talking about it and how was this possible. But the real movement started when people from the university denied also that this happened, and they said that they were not students, the ones who were protesting. Some of the directors of the university were saying that these were people who came from other parties, and that they were just protesting because they didn't like the party. So that's when the movement started, because the students didn't handle it, and in around 24 hours, 131 students made a video saying, hey, this is my name, this is my account number, I am a student, nobody brought me here. I just came to protest because I want to protest. So everyone, people were afraid because there are a lot of human rights violations in Mexico. So when the students were making the video, a lot of people were very concerned for them because they were showing their names and they were showing who they were publicly. But in social media, people from all over Mexico supported the movement. So it was 131 students, the ones who made the video, and that's why the movement is called I Am 132, because you want to be the 132. You're the supporter of this movement, and it just went crazy. It was the first time we saw private and public universities come together in support of the movement. So this these are only a few pictures I took. So this is a girl saying we want media transparency, because that was the main theme. So students got together and they went to the national TV. So we have a monopoly on TV channels, and everyone just went to their offices saying, like, we want freedom of expression and we want to know what's really happening in the country. We don't want any more lies. And yeah, this are all students. This is the flag, and this is the office. So yeah, as I told you, like, the hashtag was I am 132, yo soy 132. And another interesting issue on the use of social media is that the video that was being shown everywhere, that everyone was seeing the same video of these people, like, saying, I'm this student, and I'm protesting because I want to protest, not because anyone is, like, making me go. Everyone in the country was seeing it, and the complete day it was only 100 views. It didn't change, so it wasn't popular. So that was also something I experienced. Like, I knew that social media could be, like, managed, and, like, in theory, that you can be banned and that governments are doing something about it, but this was the first time I saw it. So you were seeing the video all the time and the views didn't change, and not all of the tweets were shown. So it was very, very impressive for me to actually leave it. Yes, and well, last month I was in Turkey, and I also experienced the protests there. I think you are more familiar with what is happening in Turkey because, it's closer, and in the agenda it might be more relevant than Mexico. But what I saw, that was a common demand from what happened in Mexico, and what is happening in Turkey is media transparency. It is the same. So people are protesting in Turkey, and in the beginning they were showing penguins, and in national media they're not showing what is really going on. So students and young people in general are demanding for media transparency. So I don't know if so far you have any questions on the topic, on the protests, on Mexico, on anything. No? Everything's clear? Good. So,
I have a question.
Yeah?
After the protests, did anything change in Mexico?
So the candidate that people were protesting against is now our president.
Oh.
Yes.
That sounds like a good change.
What we saw, there were a lot of discussions, right? So the movement went so big that it lost its sense, like, like the focus. So now everyone was just saying 132 for everything, and it went too big. And the students that started it were like, we're not a part of this movement anymore because it doesn't follow our
What happened with those students?
our rules. So.
Is there any retribution from the side of the government? Have they experienced?
It was really strange because when it started, it was like, we have no representatives. Like, nobody can speak in the name of the movement. But then suddenly some people got offered some jobs and got some TV shows, and then some others were from another party. So it was like, so it had no parties in the beginning, but then it started getting politic. Like, it went too big, and yes, like, what people say is important, and why I believe it's important too from that movement, is that really, like, nobody used to show they cared about politics. People were very apathic. Yes. So it was like, yeah, we're gonna have the the same president. Like, it doesn't matter if the left or the right wins. Like, we're just so used to having to deal with corruption, and that's just normal in our daily life. And I feel like it was the first time that we saw students caring, and really people who wanted to change something, and they were organizing themselves, and there was solidarity. So at least people were saying what they thought, and they were not afraid for the first time in, like, since 1968, as I'm sure you know. Any other question? No, that's okay. Yes?
Okay.
Okay.
About the public and influential in terms of television and paper media, what the cycle, if there was any difference in reactions to the protests.
So in private media, like, you could not see what was going on. It was never ever shown, and most people relied on the internet and on small media, on international media as well. But it was really crazy, like, and then you could see every day the same news, like, oh, everything is a success, everything is going great, and then you see, what should I believe? Like, what should I trust? What can I trust? It is very bad. So yeah, the main difference, like, big corporations were showing the same information that was not real, at least in that case. International? National, yeah. I'm talking about national television. Yes, it was national. And also local, but local, most of the time, is owned also by national. So they just get the news, they buy the news from national, because there's, like, this crisis in journalism where local media is most of the time buying the news because they don't have, money or correspondence. So yes, it's very bad. You could trust social media. I don't know how they expected people to not know what was going on. If you have social media, if you have everyone just taking videos, hey, this is what's happening, and just tweeting about it, like, it's impossible to hide it now. It's not possible to hide it. So that's the beauty of social media, I believe. Yes?
Experience to share. It's really related to this, but not all that much. Like in 1997, in Serbia, we started protests against Milosevic and his, like, rigid regime and everything. And we would go march every day. So I was in high school, and okay. So I was in high school, and high school students were protesting, and there was a civil protest, and there was a students' protest. So, like, pretty much in, like, say, first in one city in Serbia, and then in like 10 towns, and then it turned out to be like a really massive protest. And it took 4 years of those, pretty much every day, in all possible levels, so that Milosevic really did, get off his power, his throne, exactly. So, but the point is, like, it feels to me like it was 2 centuries ago, because at that time we did not have, like, social media, so we could phone each other, or, like, I don't know, inform each other in some other way, because, like, on a national TV, and that was, like, national TV owned, like, pretty much 80% of media space, you would turn it on, and then you would see, like, in Belgrade, nothing happened today. And, like, I was on a street with, like, probably, like, say 5,000 students, and there was, like, at 12 p.m. and then at 5 p.m. there was, like, this like, civil protest, like any random citizen could go out, and it was really terrible. And then you would turn on, like, Croatian television, and you'll see, like, protests in Belgrade. So it was really bizarre, like.
Yes, it's really
seriously,
strange.
Like, and now at least you can, I don't know, update your status.
Yeah, you can update
which is
your
a
status.
lot, and it feels a lot to me.
Follow
now,
your
like,
friends.
Yes.
You can
Like,
follow.
ask for, like, solidarity, like, you know,
Exactly.
anything. Start a campaign. Like, it feels like that we are so much more in power now, even though there is, like, limitation to all of that, of course. But it really feels to me that we are all empowered in certain way.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but that's enough. That's serious enough.
We're part of the problem, actually.
Okay.
What if it happens in
I-
a year, few years or so?
I have to object because, say, if I was sitting in Serbia in 1995, I would believe that the war in the Balkans is completely okay because my channel was telling me, okay, this is so cool, war is so cool. So everybody should kill everybody, right? But I couldn't hear the voices of my friends from the other side, or I couldn't hear voices from, like, I don't know, Mexican people who are saying we feel this is not wrong. And I really think that, like, I don't know, mainstream history generally it really sucks. It's written by those who are in power. And nowadays we have this like curiosity of hearing anybody's voice. I can click on somebody's random Twitter tweet and I can hear what is a random person from God knows where thinking about, say, rallies in Turkey. Like somebody from Sri Lanka that I would never ever meet in my life. So I think this plurality is perfect, and I can really, like, we are all entitled to certain choices, so we can choose what we want to believe in. That's my opinion, at least.
Well, I agree. There's a whole another subject around
Let's
this.
not do let's just do it talking. So it is actually perfect that you started talking about that, because these were the discussions or questions that I wanted you guys to think about, and maybe we could discuss if we had time. So we started with the experience of social media in local protests, like you just shared that what would have happened if we had social media then, right? So another question I often think about, so how do you think social media users are questioning authority? If anyone wants to answer or give an opinion, like, that'd be great. Anyone? Any idea?
People have opinions. Yeah, I just think that people have their own opinions and they will comment based on what information is available to them. So if the information comes from the social media, from the media they use every day, like Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus, whatever they use, they will question their authority. And it's good. I don't know if you're aware, there's a website. It's an old website. It's called indiemedia.org. So that's like it's concept based. Like in the middle of the website, you have like news from different sources that are, I would say, validated. And on the corners, you can on the left and right corner, you can see news that are uncertain, but you can still see them. So
News that are certain? What do you mean?
because they are not validated yet, because
Rumors?
the source of the news is not 100% sure. So they may be true, maybe not. They like to see those news. Some of them maybe are lies or stuff like that. But so they do not put them like main news on their site. I think that concept is quite good because maybe in a few days or so, when the real news comes out, you can see it on the main page. So, but the thing is, it's not a problem about do people trust their governments, when do they question their authority. The problem is, do people know how to recognize real news, and do they know how to sort out information that is available on the internet and on social media? Because not everything is true, not everything is important.
Exactly. And that comes our third question. How do you select who you trust? Do you only trust journalists? Or do you trust activists? Or do you think they're two aside? Like, how do you know who you trust? Who do you follow in protest? Do you follow the hashtag or do you follow someone else? I think these are questions that we don't have an exact answer or a formula. Oh yes, let's do this and this and this. There's no correct answer. I guess it's just your own interest. And finally, another one that I've been wondering a lot is anonymity. So what are the risks and what are the benefits of saying who you are in social media? Are you afraid? Are you afraid of saying what you think? maybe in your situation it's not risky, but maybe in another country, maybe in Mexico, we've had a couple of bloggers who have disappeared or have had bad endings. But at the same time, maybe it's better to show your identity because people will identify who you are in case something happens to you. They know who you are by your name. These are all a lot of questions that it would be interesting. We could talk for hours. So, do you think it's dangerous here to show who you are, or do you feel very free to express your mind?
Depends on what you do. If you're, as you say, if you're in a country and you're like a political blogger or something, it might be dangerous. But if you're just a regular Joe, I think it's not dangerous.
I don't know, like.
And I agree with you when you say it's important. It's maybe important to identify yourself, so if something happens to you, people can know that something happened to you.
Yes.
I don't know, like in Serbia mostly, like Croatia seems to be like fairly more safe than Serbia. Like in Serbia, there are people like who are openly gay, and then I don't know, they have some followers on Facebook, they have some followers on Twitter, and they're like, I'd say, slightly bit provocative sometimes. Like I know them, they're my friends, but they tend to like, you know, push some buttons, like for a reason, right? And I'd say I agree with that. And then they end up beaten up on the street. So, like, no, it's not safe, but yes, they say what they want. So I don't know, like, if you measure up, like, if you mean that sort of safe from other people, not from the government, I'd say no, it's not. Like,
Yes. And also, I
but
also
like, you
believe
choose
that.
what you want to say, and like, you stand behind what you want to express. So I guess that's.
And also sometimes for journalists, I feel like sometimes we believe what journalists say because we think that they have, well, they should have this set of rules and this education, but sometimes power just comes in our minds and you cannot really trust everything you see in the internet, just like what you said. You have, if it's in the internet, it doesn't mean it's right. You have to go to many sources. So yeah, these are our conclusions, and thank you so much. Oh, yeah, sorry. Any other question?
I just
Oh,
that in a very real sense we're being very optimistic because the liminal period in which we were all hoping that the dynamics of power would change, actually the centers of power have already sniffed out the potential. So minority voices are being drowned out again. Everybody has a way to express themselves. There are many different channels of media, but people are actually drowning in information. So everybody will, the mainstream is already being generated on the internet. So the political discourse is actually being generated top to bottom again. So the reporting on the protests is actually not us reporting, but the interpretations from the lobbies.
that's very important, and I would like to recommend you a project if you're interested in voices that are not usually heard. Like, I also write for a project called Global Voices Online. I don't know if you've heard about it, but Julian is also a part of it, and Hisham, and we write, there's like a line for everyone, so there's not like more importance if you're writing from Europe than if you're writing, I don't know, from Asia, from Africa. And from that project, there's one called Rising Voices, where they go to excluded communities all around the world just to try to empower them and write about their problematics. So yes, thank you. Any other question? No? Thank you so much for listening to me, and I really hope I made you think, I made you wonder, and I gave you something. So this is my email. If you want to write to me, I would be very happy to discuss anything, my website and my Twitter account. Thank you. Gracias.